They laughed so hard I thought they'd choke on the champagne. I had just stepped into the wedding hall, alone, in a simple dress, clutching my purse like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. My cousin Tyler elbowed his fiancé and smirked. Guess even her shadow didn't want to show up tonight. My Aunt Linda didn't even try to lower her voice. She's still single at 30? That's just sad. If you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or pushed aside, this story is for you. Like, subscribe, and share to support more stories like this. It helps more than you think. Now, back to the moment they all wish they could take back. I could feel their eyes scanning me, head to toe, like I was some failed project they regretted funding. My dress wasn't designer, my shoes weren't polished, and I didn't have a man on my arm to validate my worth. But what they didn't know was, I wasn't here to impress them. I was here to end the show they thought they were starring. In Grandma's 75th birthday / my cousin's wedding had turned into a full-blown family power display. Tyler, now suddenly making 6 figures in his tech job, made sure to mention it every 5 minutes. Aunt Linda kept reminding everyone that her daughter Sarah was marrying a doctor. And me? Zoe, the quiet one, the dreamer who once sold handmade soaps on Etsy. I was the family's running joke. I smiled and nodded through fake hugs, tight-lipped comments, and side glances. I caught Sarah whispering to her bridesmaid, "Can't believe she showed up like that. She's still living in that tiny studio apartment?" They didn't know. Nobody did. 3 years ago, after losing my job, I'd vanished. Not because I was ashamed, but because I was building. Quietly, patiently. While they laughed, I worked 18-hour days on something that would one day flip everything upside down. But tonight wasn't about revenge. It was about timing. Just then, Uncle Paul walked over, clearly tipsy and unnecessarily loud. "You know, Zoe," he chuckled. "You should have brought someone with you. Even a pet hamster would have made you look less abandoned." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because they had no idea what was coming next. Suddenly, the heavy doors at the back of the hall opened. People turned. Whispers spread like fire. The laughter stopped. Forks froze midair. He walked in, 6'2", tailored navy suit, calm, confidence like he owned the room. Because he did. He walked straight past the crowd, didn't smile, didn't pause, and came directly to me, took my hand, kissed my cheek like we'd been in love for years. Then he turned to my shocked relatives, gave a small nod and said, "Sorry we're late. Zoe had to finish a quick investor call. You know, $12 million doesn't raise itself. Their jaws dropped, and that was just the beginning." Tyler dropped his champagne glass. No one moved. Aunt Linda's face went pale, like someone had unplugged her entire personality. Sarah stood frozen, her perfect bridal smile twitching as if trying to reboot. The silence was thick, uncomfortable, electric. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was the center of the storm, and I hadn't even said a word, yet. He leaned in and whispered, just loud enough for the nearest table to hear. "Want to tell them, or should I?" I looked around at the same faces that used to snicker when I talked about building an online brand. The same people who said, I should get a real job instead of chasing pipe dreams. Oh, how they hated anything they couldn't control. I took a breath. "Actually, why don't we all sit down? I've got a little story to share before the cake." They didn't clap. They didn't cheer. But they listened. For the first time ever, they listened. I pulled the mic from the DJ's booth, and my hands didn't even shake. 3 years ago, I began. I was broke, alone, and living in a 1-bedroom apartment the size of this dance floor. After I lost my job, most of you said I should move back in with my parents, or get a job at the local diner. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. I saw Grandma glance at Aunt Linda with confusion, like, "Did you really say that to her?" But I didn't move back. I continued. I stayed. I worked. I failed. Then I failed again. And again. Until one day, I didn't. From the back, I saw Sarah's dad mumble. "What's she even talking about?" I smiled. I launched a skincare brand. No investors. No fancy office. Just me, my laptop, and a shelf full of ingredients. I worked 20-hour days, sometimes sleeping under my desk. I shipped products by hand, answered every customer email myself. And now? I paused, then looked directly at Aunt Linda. Now that same company is valued at $42 million. Gasps. Literal gasps. Uncle Paul choked on his drink. Tyler looked like he was calculating how fast he could marry me himself. Even the DJ stopped the background music like this just got real. And the man who walked in? I added, glancing at him with a smile. He's not just my fiancé. He's also my company's CFO. And the reason I had to arrive solo today? I was closing our newest international deal. That's why I was late. The room spun in disbelief. I could feel their judgment collapsing in real time. But I wasn't done. "Remember when you all voted to leave me out of the family photo last Christmas because I didn't fit the aesthetic?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. Aunt Linda shifted. "We didn't mean it like that." "I know," I said sweetly, "but it worked out. Because now I'm not part of your family photo. I'm building an empire that you're not part of." Boom. Dead silence, except for the sound of Grandma slowly clapping. 1, 2, 3. Then she stood. "I always knew you'd surprise us, Zoe." Everyone turned to look at her. She kept clapping. Then others joined. Awkward, unsure, slow applause. But I didn't care about their validation. I had just flipped the script. And every one of them knew it. What they didn't know was that I was just getting started. You won't believe what happened at the after-party. Grandma pulled me aside after dinner, her old fingers gripping my wrist tighter than I expected. "They're not clapping for you, sweetheart," she whispered. "They're clapping for what they want from you now." I froze. "They ignored you when you were nothing," she added. "Now they'll pretend they've loved you all along. Don't fall for it." And just like that, I knew. The real show hadn't even begun. I watched as Aunt Linda cornered my fiancé near the bar, her voice suddenly soft and sugary. "You must be exhausted, managing such a big company. Zoe's lucky to have you. She always needed someone to, keep her grounded." She even laughed like she was 20 again. I stepped in. "He doesn't keep me grounded. He helps me fly. You remember the difference, right?" Her smile cracked. "Of course, sweetie." Meanwhile, Tyler appeared beside me, his cologne drowning the air. "Hey, I was thinking, maybe we could collaborate sometime. Bring your brand into the tech space. I've got some contacts." "Contacts?" This guy used to send me memes of women crying with captions like, "She should have picked STEM." I stared him down. "We're not hiring tech bros who think, toner is a car part, Tyler." He blinked, stunned. "Oh," he muttered. "Right. Joke." But what really sent chills through the room was what happened during the toast. The mic was passed to Sarah, the bride, the golden child, the families, pride and sparkle. Her dress cost more than my first car. Her smile was rehearsed, and her words, well, they started sweet. "We're so grateful to be surrounded by family tonight," she began. "And while we're celebrating love, I'd also like to acknowledge how inspiring it is to see Zoe here with us. I mean, she's come a long way." Polite chuckles. Then she added, "And it's truly admirable how she's rebranded herself so well, from making soaps in her bathtub to running a beauty empire. I mean, that's what social media is for, right?" The room went still. I caught my fiancé's jaw clench. That wasn't a toast. That was a shot fired. So I stood, slowly, smiling. "Thank you, Sarah," I said, walking toward her, heels clicking loud on marble. "But just for clarity, I don't sell soaps anymore. That bathtub brand you just mocked? It's now in over 800 stores across the country, including the luxury Spa Your Honeymoon Resort booked next month." Her smile faded. "And social media?" I continued. "That's where people pretend to be perfect. But my business? That's real. Numbers don't lie. People do." Dead silence. Again. But then, Uncle Paul piped up, loud and bitter. "So? What, you're the rich one now? Big deal. Money doesn't make you better than us." I turned to face him. Calm, cool, deadly. "No, Uncle Paul, money doesn't make me better. But how I got it?" I paused. "That's the part you'll never understand. They could hate me, envy me, copy me. Didn't matter. Because I had built something they couldn't touch. But they were about to try. Because not even I could predict what Sarah did next." She pulled out her phone, stared me down, and said loud enough for everyone, "Funny, Zoe, you forgot to mention the lawsuit." "What lawsuit? What was she holding?" I stayed calm, though inside my chest tightened. Sarah smirked. "You think you're untouchable now, huh?" Heads turned. I asked, "What lawsuit, Sarah?" She tapped her screen. "Your ex-partner claims you stole the formula that made your empire." Whispers spread. Aunt Linda smiled. Tyler grinned. I stepped forward. That case was dismissed. No proof, no merit. Sarah sneered. "But your investors might hesitate seeing headlines like "Beauty mogul built fortune on stolen idea." A little dirt goes a long way. It wasn't about the lawsuit. It was a threat. I moved closer. "I know what headlines investors hate more." She raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" I showed my phone. "How about bride's wedding funded by husband's fraudulent startup?" Her face drained. Silence. "You think I don't research, Sarah? Your husband's under SEC investigation. I wasn't going to mention it. But since you started this..." Her voice cracked. "You're bluffing." My fiancé stepped up, holding a PDF. "Not bluffing. It's real, and it's bad." Sarah staggered, and the crowd shifted their eyes to her. But I wasn't finished yet. "Here's the thing, Sarah," I said, stepping even closer. "You called me out to ruin me, but you forgot one thing. I own my story. I've made my peace with every mistake, every failure, every rough day. You've been playing perfect for so long, you wouldn't know what truth looks like if it hit you in the face." The room broke into quiet murmurs. Aunt Linda sat frozen, stunned. Uncle Paul looked like he wanted to vanish. And Sarah? She stood, there, surrounded by everything she thought made her better, and none of it could save her. But then something even stranger happened. My dad, who hadn't said a word all evening. The same man who once told me I was embarrassing the family name, walked up and hugged me. "I was wrong, Zoe," he said quietly, "and I'm proud of you, truly." Tears welled in my eyes, but before I could answer, he added one last line. "But you should know. Sarah's not working alone." I pulled back. "What?" He glanced over my shoulder, and when I turned around, a woman stepped out of the shadows. Someone I hadn't seen in over a decade. My mother. The one who abandoned us when I was 16. Why was she here? And why was she talking to Sarah? My heart skipped a beat when I saw her. My mother, Claire, standing there with that cold, calculating look I'd only seen in old family photos. She hadn't just shown up for the wedding. No. She was behind everything. Sarah's smirk grew wider as Claire whispered, Zoe doesn't deserve this life. It's time she loses it all. Years of abandonment flashed through my mind, but now it was different. I wasn't the scared girl anymore. I'm done being their pawn, I said, voice steady like steel. Over the next few weeks, I quietly gathered evidence, emails, bank records, secret deals that Sarah and Claire had made to sabotage me. I sent everything to my lawyer and the press. Then came the moment I'd waited for. The family reunion dinner, the same place where they'd laughed at me years ago. This time, I walked in with a private investigator, flashing the damning proof on the table. Gasps filled the room. Sarah's face drained. Claire's eyes widened. I looked each of them in the eye and said, "You tried to bury me. You wanted to steal everything I worked for. But here's the truth. I'm not just the girl who arrived solo to your wedding. I'm the one who's going to destroy your lies." The room fell silent. Justice wasn't just served. It was devoured. That day, I didn't just get revenge. I took back my power and built a life that no betrayal could ever touch. And from that moment on, they all knew. Zoe was unstoppable.